Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about two things that I think are about to hopefully make me do a lot more work. And I think I have a weird balance of thinking that I do a lot of work, right? I act like, I get home from school, I get home from the gym, I do my stuff, I have dinner, I go back to my thing, but there's a lot of shit in the middle where it's like, I'll have a conversation with my brother or I'll go on my phone for a minute and do something that's unrelated. And it's very sporadic too, right? It's like I have to do something and then while I'm doing another thing, I'm just like, oh, I forgot as I'm doing this thing that I had to do this thing and this is the perfect time to do it, right? So it's a lot of bouncing around. And I think what I figured out, and again, it's stuff you've probably already heard, but do you do it? So before you like, if I say something, you're just like, oh, I knew that. This is like every other video. Do you do them? Because I'm telling you, there are probably people who sit all day and they're just like, how do I lose weight? And they watch video. Like, you don't even need videos. Eat less, move more, right? And it's like, are you doing it? Right? So there are people out there who genuinely seek advice, and I'm one of them, who love the seek. They love to find the advice, but they might apply some, they might not apply others. And then when they hear it, they're just like, I hear that advice all the time, whatever. So anyway, that's a side tangent. But the two things are, first off, planning your day. The night before. Um, I actually have been thinking about this, and I was rewatching an E-Man video where he's talking about it, and he said something about, and I don't really like the newer E-Man videos. I'm sure they're still somewhat good, but this is a newer video. I prefer the older videos because it's a lot more inspiring to see him when he's younger, and I just think the quality was higher then, in my opinion, not in terms of editing or anything. And that's not a diss. I just think older videos, for the most part, are a lot more valuable. And I don't love like a lot of editing, to be honest. But where was I going with that point? But yeah, this is a fairly recent video, but still valuable, right? And something he said was it was about planning your day, and then he said it's very simple, and then something about how just most people don't do the simple things. And I was like, wow, that was like a direct call out, even for me, because I'm just like I act like I do the things, right? I go to the gym, I put in the work, like whatever that means, right? But do I even this? Like, you have to challenge every area, and that's the problem. This could be a side tangent, but people are blinded by their own blind spots. It only makes sense, right? So think about all the areas in your life where you give yourself a pass, even if you're doing well. Like, I'm someone who goes to the gym probably like 5 to 6 days a week, right? I think I eat okay, right? It's as best as I can do right now. I scan my stuff with an app, right? I make sure the ingredients are solid. I intermittent fast. I do these things, right? But that doesn't give me a pass in other areas, right? So when I hear people, I actually just wrote this in my journal. So the I'll do it tomorrows, right? There's a lot of times where I'll watch, and this is in the gym. I'm not like someone who watches TikTok. I kind of pride myself on that. I'm sure. I mean, I still am on other socials, so I guess that's just as bad. But TikTok is just, I can't do it. But my whole feed is inspiration, and I'm not even using that as cope by saying, like, oh, because it's inspiration, I can consume. I play it in the gym. So if it's David Goggins on a run and he's like, you got to get off the daggone couch and get out there, like, that's what I want to hear in the gym, right? So every once in a while, you'll get these, like, just talking about how you'll do it tomorrow. It's just a basic concept, right? Like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, right? And you're just like, you're in the gym, and I'm like, I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm never gonna be that guy who says that. But think about the areas where you're blind spotted, because just because you're good in one area doesn't give you a pass for everything else, right? So I noticed that like I still have a list of I'll do it tomorrows that I've been holding off for weeks. So just because I am consistent with the gym and doing these other things, don't let that let you fall into this trap of like, oh, I'm good everywhere else, right? Because there are plenty of things, plenty of promises I make to myself where I'm like, oh yeah, it'll happen tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll do like 3 hours of deep work and I'll meditate and I'll visualize and I'll journal and then I'll get like one of them done. So do not let something like that give you a pass. Don't because again, I'm the type of person who consumes this type of inspirational content. I'm like that's me or that's not me, right? Where it's someone saying like, like I said, I'll do it tomorrow. And I'm like, that's not who I am. That isn't me. And it's like, well, it kind of is. It kind of is in other areas. You just can't see it because you're blind spotted. If you had someone by your side, someone who achieved a lot of stuff, I think about this a lot, right? If you had someone by your side that achieved shit, would they be impressed by what they're looking at? Like, think of your hero, right? And you're telling them, like, dude, I'm working so hard to make money, to make a business. If they were next to you, would they really believe that? Right? Like, if you're sitting on the toilet scrolling, right, and your hero's right next to you, he's like, dude, is this what going all in looks like? Right? Is this what it looks like? Like, picture that. Because most of the time, you're lying to yourself. Right? And again, I'm not saying don't give yourself credit, because I love that I go to the gym all the time. I love that I do these good things for myself. But that does not give me, like, it's almost like it's hurting you more than it's helping you. I mean, obviously, but it's almost more damaging because you're convincing yourself that you should have gotten results when you shouldn't have. Like, just because I go to the gym 6 times a week doesn't mean I should be a millionaire. But if I'm going to convince myself, like, oh, I do the work, it's like, well, you go to the gym, you do 30 minutes of work a day after the gym. But it's like, is that what makes you a millionaire? Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to be big, but you're not going to, your money isn't going to be big, right? Your bank account's not going to be big. So that's a whole side tangent. But the first thing I want to talk about is planning your day. Okay. So this is one of those things where I just don't do it. I just never plan my day. Not even the morning of. I don't do it the night before. And I just never found a reason to. I was like, no. Like, I don't need to do this. And I'm starting to see the beauty of routine and systems, because when you don't have routines and you don't have systems, you just fall into whatever happens, right? And even in the world of, like, I'm in my house, I'm doing work, I'm trying to build a business, there are still things that happen. There's an Instagram reel from Alex Hormozi that pops up that I want to watch. As I'm switching Instagram accounts to post a short or a reel or whatever it is, something else pops up. Then I'm like, oh, I had to do this yesterday. I didn't even do it yesterday. Shit. And then I'm like, I'm going doing that. So the phone is the perfect example of just like how you can like dance around like 60 things at the same time. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're out and about or whether you're locked in your room, there are still ways that you can just get thrown off the rails entirely and on these separate tracks. So I think the reason it hit me that planning your day is the best way to get past all these things is literally because there's only 2 options. You either do everything or you fail. Done. That's it. And the key point being, failure is an option. So the best case, you get everything done. But failure is an option. So what do I mean by this? Why is it so important that failure is an option? When you don't plan your day, there is no failure. So if I end a day and I say, I want to meditate, I want to read, I want to visualize, I want to journal, I want to do 4 hours of deep work, it's all bullshit. It's all just like, yeah, it would be nice. And it never happens, right? Or some of it happens. I do 2 hours of deep work and I meditate for 5 minutes instead of 10, when it probably should have been more, right? I read, but like I was kind of distracted. I didn't take notes. I didn't remember anything. So it's like, was that really reading? So my point is, when you don't have something written down, you're like, at 9 o'clock, I do this. From 9 to 10, I do this. From 11 to 12, I do this. From 1 to 5, work, right? Whatever it is. If you don't have that written down, there is no failure. So I end my day personally, not too upset. I'm not going like, oh, I didn't meditate, I didn't read. Think about all the things I actually did not do on that list. I didn't meditate, I didn't read, I didn't do 4 hours of deep work, whatever it was. I did some of it. That's not really a failure, because I didn't set out the goal to do that. I just said, like, I want to. I didn't have it written down or anything. So I don't register it as a failure. So this is why it's so important. And it just hit me and I just journaled it down. This is why you have to schedule your day, because now there is a failure. It's like, if I don't do this from 9 to 10, I kind of fucked up. I failed there, right? So now there's the option of failure. And the best case scenario, everything you write down when you plan your day, imagine that all got done. Like, if you write down all these things that you don't normally do, that you wish you did, that you've been holding off on, if you wrote all those down And next day, end of day, your head hits the pillow, you're going to bed, you're like, damn, I did everything on that list. There you go. You're a day away. You're a day away from succeeding on all that. So think about how much that means, right? You think like, oh, I'm just writing a list. It's just writing it down. Like, who cares? It's just planning a schedule. That matters, because if everything on the schedule actually gets done, you're getting closer to an outcome, right? If you work on a business for 4 hours a day, you're getting a lot closer to an outcome that you might like. So not only does it implement this failure, right, which is amazing because you can't fail when you don't have a plan. So you need to make a plan. You actually need the plan so you can avoid failure, because I'm not avoiding failure right now. If I don't do the things I set out to do, who cares? I never planned to. I wanted to, right? But also what it's doing is it's bringing in this ideal outcome of like, damn, if I got all this stuff I wrote down done, that would be sick, right? That would be sick. And there you go. So that's number one. And the second thing I thought about today, and I kind of want to wrap this up because speaking of all this scheduling, I'm trying to like do it in my mind right now, and I'm trying to like set time blocks for myself because I want to practice what I preach. The other thing that I thought about today was, I haven't. I'm just trying to figure out the way to phrase it. I guess like priorities. Basically, maybe priorities and priority tolerance, right? So there are certain things in your life that you, no matter what, it's your top priority. And a perfect example of this would be work. Work is, whether you want it to be or not, probably your top priority. I mean, people will, there's a party this weekend and it's for someone in your family. Can't make it, right? No one can reschedule with me, or that, you maybe not. I don't know. I'm just talking from a part-time gig, but whatever it may be, right? Like, no, I have work. Like, can we work around that? I'll come later. Work is something that is a non-negotiable for a lot of people. And that's just the truth, right? You're not going to miss work. You're not going to just not go in to work, right? Because that would lead to like them maybe firing you or you not being paid, obviously. So that's just something you wouldn't do. Now, for me, a great example is I upload clips for somebody, right? So that is something that I cannot miss. Like, no matter what, it is something where sometimes I will be falling asleep in my bed and realize that I did not upload the clip for the day, right? I'm uploading a short form clip on all platforms. So when that happens, there is no mental battle. There is no like, oh, I don't want to. It's like, no, I have to. Like, and I will wake up. I did this like 2 nights ago. I think it was 2 nights ago. Like, I just woke up. I mean, that's not crazy, but it's also not easy to do. Like, I don't like to be falling and drifting off to sleep and then being like, boom, let's go, right? I don't like that, but I had to. So that's not something I like to do, but I had to because it was a priority. Someone else was depending on me. Somebody else paid me money to be uploading clips daily. So there is no like, I don't want to do it. It's like the brain shuts down and it says, you have to do this. Like, someone paid you and you are obligated to post daily, or this is kind of violating what they paid you for. Like, they paid you for a reason. So my point of this is, we have work, we have things that we will not let other people down, or we will not say no to because it's high priority, right? Like the clips or like work. We can choose that priority. Like, we could right now make work not a priority. Like, I could make like those clips I upload every day. I could have just been like, whatever, right? But in some sense, I chose to. Like, sure, I got paid for it and stuff, and it should be my priority, but it doesn't have to be. So my point with this is, we choose the level of priority. So like, with work, it has to get done. You have to go. Why can't it be like that for you working on your business, or the workout, or meditation, or reading? Do you notice how you're very selective with what gets done, right? It's like, oh, no, I would never. Like, you don't even think about missing work. You don't think about like not going in. And again, this is all hypothetical, of course, but most people don't even think really about like, I'm not going to go in today. You can't do that too much, right? It's just one of those things where it's like, you work everything around it. Like, oh, I go to the gym after work. I do this, I can't make that party. You work around it because you have to go to work, right? It's a priority. But do you notice the things that really matter, right? You got to practice your mindfulness. You got to make sure you're fit and healthy. Like, you got to make sure you're working on the business to get out of the job and make some good money on your own. You don't prioritize that. And it's just so weird because our brains will, when we need to, or when we think we need to, prioritize. Like I said, I don't just wake up out of slumber often to do something, but I had to right there. I felt an obligation. I was paid and I had to upload a clip, and I did not do it that day. So I woke up in the middle of the night, or I guess as I was falling asleep, to upload that clip, right? Why can't everything else be like that? Like, why is it end of the night where I'm like, oh, I should have meditated. I should have read a book. I should have done this. And it's like, right? So get a lot tougher on yourself with this type of stuff. Like, if you're like, who's going to be tough on you? Like, unless you're paying someone to just like slap you in the face and be like, you did not do what you said you were going to do. You have to be the one to do that type of shit. If you have someone else, right? Like a brother or a sibling or whoever, a roommate, a friend who's on the same thing and can slap you in the face and do that, awesome. But for most people, no. You just kind of got to moderate yourself, right? And make sure you're doing those things. So I just thought that was an interesting topic because there are things in life that we prioritize, whether we know it or not, right? Like I said, we work our schedules around work, around this. Like I said, I woke up in the middle of the night to upload that clip. It had to get done, right? There was no argument of like, should I do it? It was like, no, I have to wake up and I have to post this now. But it's not like that with other things. When it comes to meditate, like I said, meditating, reading, journaling, why can't it be like that? Why is it just this like, whatever, I didn't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow? Why is it like that? Imagine you said that to work all the time. You're just like, I'll be in tomorrow. Most people would never do that because work is a non-negotiable. That's the word I was looking for. Non-negotiables, right? We negotiate with ourselves all day long. It's just like, I didn't meditate. You don't have to. Blah, blah, blah. Justified. Or it's like, tomorrow. It doesn't matter. It's all negotiations. Now, there are some things, most of the things you do, it's because they're, I don't know, maybe I said it before. I don't know why I was acting like I just got the word, but they're non-negotiables, right? Make the things you want to be non-negotiables, make them non-negotiables. It is as simple as that. That simple. If you want it to be a non-negotiable, make it that way. So for me, I want to meditate. I want to read. I want to do this. I want to do this. Put it on a list and say non-negotiable, right? It's one of those things where it's like just as important as work, just as important as uploading that clip, because I said I would do it. But the problem is when you say you're going to do things, you can always justify it. You can always, that's the problem. Like you can just do whatever you want at any time, right? Like I can just say, I'll meditate today. And then it's just like, I don't really want to. I was like, okay, end of story. But yesterday you wrote down that they wanted to be a non-negotiable. So why is today you not following through with that? Because you don't feel like it. So hopefully this made sense. Just a little recap. The first thing I talk about, planning your day. Okay. So the reason it's important to plan your day is because there is room for failure, right? If you do not plan your day, there can be no failure. So you can go through your entire day, not do anything you said, and it won't be a failure. It will not register as a failure. So it will reinforce the thing. And it also introduces, the ability of like, okay, if you actually got everything done that you wrote down and you say, I'm going to do this tomorrow, think about how much better your life would be. And imagine you did this across a year, 365 days. How much better would your life be if you completed your to-do list every single day, everything you planned the night before for 365 days? If you did that, how far ahead would you be? Probably a lot. And the second thing being, make things that you want to be non-negotiables, make them non-negotiable, because you negotiate with yourself all day and you prioritize other things. You prioritize things that you might not even realize you prioritize, right? Like work's one where it's just like, you don't even think about prioritizing it because it is always a priority. It's like work is the number one thing. Like I said, You're not going to skip work to go to the gym. You're not going to skip work to go grab a smoothie. It's like, no, I'll do all that after. I'll do it before. It can't be negotiated because you have to do it. There's no battle in your head. It's just like, that sucks, but I have to. So make a list of things like that where it's like, if I don't do this, we have a problem. I'll wake up in the middle of the night to do it, right? If I have to read at work or I have to read at a weird time, I will do it, right? I'll bring my phone. I'll read on my phone, which is a dangerous game, but if it has to happen, it has to happen, right? So I hope this hit well. Hope this information was valuable. And yeah, I feel like I could have ranted a little more, but it's always a weird balance of like, I feel like I ranted too much, but there was so much more to be said. So I want to get better at like, for starters, not saying the word like, I want to get better at articulation and just being able to translate thoughts into reality, especially for the camera, because it's a pretty valuable skill. But I imagine these videos are going to help with that quite a bit. So as always, hope you got some value. Hope you can implement this. I know I will. These are two things that I figured out. Again, plan your day. Really, you just figure that out. I knew it. I just never did it. And the other idea just came because, like I said, a night or two ago, I woke up in the middle of the night to post that clip, and then it kind of hit me. I was like, damn, that's something where I can't miss it. Like, no matter what, I will wake up in the middle of my sleep to make this clip post. So why isn't everything else like that? Like, all these other things I say I'm going to do, I would never wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I forgot. But for that one, I did, because it was an obligation, right? And there's a lot of things we feel we're obligated to, and there's other things that we're like, like, who cares? Like, we didn't do it today. You don't feel obligated. But the problem is, if you felt obligated, you'd be way ahead, because you'd never forget to read, and you'd read 50 books a year, and you never get to meditate, and you would have meditated, 1,000 minutes over the year, whatever it is. So yeah, with that said, hope you got some value. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.